Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Olivia Roth and I'm the Director of Online Academic Programs for Penn Engineering Online. And we're really excited for our admissions webinar today. Our topic is student support, and we're delighted to highlight some of the people and services that are available for MCIT Online students. So let's go ahead and introduce some of the folks who you're going to be talking today to. So we have Kendall Johnson. Actually, I think they might introduce themselves once they start talking, but we have a VIP lineup for you. And before we get started, I wanted to say that there's a feature in Zoom called Q&A. So if you have questions along the way as you're watching, feel free to post your questions in the Q&A tool. We will answer some of them as we can during the presentation, and then we'll also answer some of them in real time with our panel. And unfortunately, if you are dialing in by phone, we don't have a mechanism to capture your questions through the webinar, but you're always welcome to email us, and we'll give all of our contact information at the end. We will also record and post this video on our YouTube playlist so that if you need to watch it again or share it with your friends, you can do so. So let's see. I think we can go ahead and get started. First, let's, if we could bring our slides back up, our MC behind the scenes can make that happen. Yeah, and feel free to let us know where you're dialing in from. In the Q&A tool, we always like to see, where folks are coming from. So I can give you an overview of the Online Master of Computer and Information Technology program just to get us started and give you some background information. So the online MCIT is based on the MCIT, which has been on campus for 21 years. It's a very well established degree that is designed for people without a computer science background so that those folks can maybe break into the industry. All you need is a bachelor's degree and some quantitative and mathematical abilities. So the cool thing about the fact that it's online is that it's the same exact degree, but you don't have to come to campus at all. All of the content is 100% online, and none of the sessions are synchronous and required. So all of the videos are pre-recorded and you can watch them on your own schedule. Again, you don't have to physically come to Philadelphia, so if you're not able to, that's not a barrier for you. And the degree is the same. So the diplomas actually look identical. There's no mention of online on the diploma itself. They look the same because the curriculum is the same. It's just delivered in a different way. So obviously the experience is a little bit different for folks who are going through the program. And that's one of the reasons we like to have these webinars so that we can give you a sense of what it's like to actually be an online student for Penn Engineering Online. Okay, next slide, please. Great, so let me tell you a little bit about the curriculum. So the way the curriculum is designed, there are 6 core courses that all the students take. Theoretically, you could take them in chronological order, but you don't have to adhere strictly to that as long as you follow the prerequisites. And in terms of timing, you can spread it out in a short amount of time or a long amount of time, depending on what works for your schedule. So we have some folks who might just take 1 or 2 courses per semester. And then we have others who, I would say fewer, who try to get through as quickly as they can and take, maybe 2 or 3 courses per semester. Or it could even be, 1 course your first semester and then a few the next semester and then none over the summer since that's optional. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. So there are also 4 elective courses that students can take, and we have a variety of elective courses in various areas. So once you have those 6 core courses under your belt, you really have such a thorough foundational understanding of computer science that you can really kind of pursue whatever elective topic you're interested in. In some cases, I think there might be like a slight gap between what you learned and what you need to know for the elective. And what students always tell me is they can easily teach themselves because they have such a thorough understanding. And I think that's one of the beauties of this program is that technology changes so quickly that if you were to learn one particular programming language, you might be out of luck in a few years. Whereas if you really pursue the fundamentals, again, you can adapt to the changing times and understand at a very foundational level any kind of language or technology that you encounter. So yes, exactly. So we have these core courses. It will feel accelerated because, as you can imagine, we're teaching students who don't have a computer science background, and there's a lot to cover. So the content is very concentrated, and it is designed such that there might be a few concepts here and there that is covered in a CS undergraduate degree that is not covered by us. And yet, like I said, the fundamentals are there. And so it sort of comes together retroactively sometimes. So yeah, a few of the elective areas that we have are data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and the Internet of Things. So you can sort of go all in one particular area with your electives, or you could spread it out and try a variety of different topics to kind of see what you're interested in, or to get a broader view of computer science itself as a field. And I mentioned there are no required real-time sessions. So I think that's something that students really appreciate. There are real-time sessions that are all optional. So there are office hours that you can attend with a teaching assistant, or there are recitations, which are like a teaching assistant going through different examples in real time. So there are definitely options, and we try to space them out to accommodate different time zones because we have students who are joining us from all over the world. So if we have, one recitation in the morning, Eastern time, we'll have the other one in the evening to try to reach as many students as we can. Obviously, we would record any of those group sessions so that they will be available for folks if they can't attend at those particular times. Okay, so I think at this point, I'm turning it over to my colleagues. So I will let them introduce themselves, and yeah, take it away, Adrian and Kendall.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. As Olivia mentioned, my name is Kendall Johnson, and I am the Assistant Director of Student Affairs. So my job is to help support all of you as students with any issues or concerns that you may have, academic planning and advising, course outlining. I also help run and plan all of our student events, whether they are on campus or online. And I work very, very closely with Adrienne Yoder, who I'll let introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Adrienne Yoder. I am the Student Success Manager for Penn Engineering Online. And yes, I work very closely with Kendall, and together we advise students. We work with them closely to help with their course plan. If students also feel like they could use some extra support in their courses, maybe they're struggling with the course material, or maybe they're feeling busy in their personal life and they're trying to manage their time. We'll also work closely with students as they figure that out. And part of my role too is actually to work with our peer mentors as we support students together. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later on, but yeah, our biggest role here is just to support the MCIT Online community.
Yes, and some of the ways, some of the resources that you have access to as a part of our program as being an MCIT Online student is you have access to the University of Pennsylvania 6 cultural centers. that offer programming to support students with their coursework outside of courses and classes, with community building and community engagement. And so the 6 cultural centers that you have access to are the Greenfield Intercultural Center, the Center for Hispanic Excellence, the Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender Center, the Black Cultural Center, the Pan Asian American Community House, and the Penn's Women's Center. And so all of those centers are available for you to access. And I hate to say it this way, but because of COVID, a lot of their resources and events have moved online. So that is very beneficial to you because you can join those webinars, you can participate a lot easier than it was 2 years ago when most of the programming was on campus. So I think that is extremely beneficial to help support you academically and overall as a student and an individual. Additionally, you do have access to all of the library resources offered by the university. So that includes all of the online databases and reference materials. And if you happen to be in the Philadelphia area and you want to come on campus, you do have access to visit the campus libraries and use the physical materials there. Once you complete the program as an alumni, you do have access to the Penn Alumni Network, as well as all of the resources attached to the MCIT Online program. So you get to review your coursework, you get to get invited to our special events that we host as MCIT Online. So there's a lot of services and resources that you get access to even once you complete your program. Additionally, here at MCIT Online, we foster a very robust online community. And so that includes our Slack channel, which is a space online where all of our students can get together and discuss topics. They can check in on each other, conversate about their assignments, their career goals, network, and so much more. There's practically a Slack channel for everything. So based on geography, so if you're a West Coast student or if you are in Europe or Asia, there's a Slack channel for certain career fields and career paths. There's even Slack channels being set up for very specific companies that our students might work for. So, so there's just a lot to dig deep into with Slack. And even personally, there's a Slack channel for pets, for support, for hobbies, for sports. So, you know, once you become a student, definitely check out and explore all of the ways that you can connect with your peers via our robust online community. In addition to that, us as Student Affairs, we hold monthly coffee chats. So that gives you an opportunity to come hang out with myself, Adrian, and our other student success advisor, Chris. And so you can chat with us as well as your peers to just continue to build community and learn about each other. We also offer the eligibility for federal financial aid and scholarship opportunities for the program. So if that is something that is a concern for you, we definitely encourage you to look up those options and let us know if that's something that you want more information about. Okay. And then finally, and arguably maybe most important for you, depending on your goals, are our career services and networking opportunities. We care very deeply about this, and so we actually have our own Assistant Director of Networking and Professional Development, Emily Perry. She is someone that you will meet further along down the line once you're in the program, and she will assist you with career development, career building, how to network, setting up your LinkedIn profile, setting up your Handshake profile, which is a University of Pennsylvania network where students can apply and search for jobs. So she deals very closely with that and can help you set that up. And she does continue those services even for our alumni. So again, those services continue once you complete your time with us in the program. And then I'll go ahead and pass it over to Adrian to talk about the ways that we build community further with our program.
Thank you, Kendall. All right, let's see, can we move over to the next slide? Thank you. All right, so one of the things that prospective students and even current students, as they're getting into MCIT Online ask is, how can I connect with other people in this program? And we have found that, what we have are many, many resources for you to do so, for you to connect with other students. And one of the ways, first I want to talk about is our current student group, MCIT Online Student Association, which is MOSA. And MOSA is a group that formed a few years ago, and they are they are a great resource for students who want to really get involved, students who want to host events, who want to start a new initiatives. It's a great vehicle for feedback for the MCIT Online program, and it's a great place to just meet people and meet your classmates and people who are, in your courses with you, and people that have similar backgrounds to you. So, if you want to get more involved in the program and you want to host events, if you want to host new initiatives, MOSA is a great place to do that. And we also, as a team, work very closely with MOSA to listen to their feedback and to, start new initiatives or any ideas that they're interested in pursuing. And also another great way to meet people, and something that we try to do often, is to host events. And there are lots of opportunities for events in MCIT Online. We have both virtual and in-person events, even though right now the in-person events are a little limited due to COVID. However, there are still great ways to connect online through events. We host a lot of networking events, a lot of social events. With networking, what that can look like is, we will bring in professionals from the industry who want to connect with our students to hold information sessions. We have also hosted events in the past with students or with alumni from MCIT Online who just want to talk a little bit about what they do now and connect with students who might be interested in that field. And also, we'll just host networking events even without, alumni and professionals there. We'll just host networking events for students to connect with each other, allow platforms for them to meet where it might be one person looking for somebody who has a background in product management. And so we'll set it up so that they can meet students that way through our breakout rooms and different networking sessions. And we also host social events, of course. And what those social events can look like is, an after-hour happy hour, or as Kendall mentioned, a coffee chat in the morning. Depending where you are, we host them sort of at all different times of the day so that students from all different time zones can attend. And also, once things become safer for students to meet up in person, we are also going to be hosting more events on campus. We have hosted a virtual homecoming event this past year and the year before. We're hoping to do more things on campus though. And we're also really looking forward to commencement this year once MCIT Online students can meet up in person, which will be a great opportunity for MCIT Online students to meet up in person. And also one really cool aspect, I think, of MCIT Online is that we have people from all over the world, and we have faculty who are also traveling all over the world as well. And so, if in the future, once things become more safe, if we have faculty that are traveling to your area who are available to meet up, we will let students know. We absolutely want you to be able to connect with faculty. And then also, as Kendall mentioned, we have a Slack workspace. This is a great tool for connecting with other students in real time. And as he mentioned, you can use the Slack workspace to connect with people in your courses. If you have questions or just need to talk to somebody else about what's going on in the course, it's a great channel to do so. But you also have channels where people can chat about, living in New York City. Maybe you want to connect with people that are living close to you and you maybe want to meet up with them in person, or you can just connect with people based on your hobby or your interests. So you can absolutely do that way. And we also have our LinkedIn student group, which actually, as soon as a student gets admitted into MCIT Online, you can start connecting with people that way. And through that LinkedIn group, we have, I don't know how many, I think like 2,000 students now in that LinkedIn group at this point. You'll have the opportunity to connect with a lot of different people in that group. And so there are many, many resources to connect with people, even in your courses, even through social events. So if you have any questions about that or are curious about more how that works, we're happy to talk to you more about it. And at this point, I would like to pass it over to a member of our course delivery team, Kathleen Sheehy.
Thanks, Adrian. So hi, everyone. My name is Kathleen Sheehy. I'm the Assistant Director of Course Delivery for the MCIT Online program. And so the course delivery team is responsible for keeping everything moving during the semester. So we keep things up to date on Coursera. We schedule office hours for professors and for TAs. We publish grades. We make sure the exams are set up correctly. We make sure all the instructions to take proctored exams are set up correctly. So we are the gears during the semester in these courses. And another thing that we do is we run TA teams for each of our courses. And if you could go to the next slide, please. Our TAs are a really fabulous part of our program, and a lot of them are actually current MCIT Online students. And so a perk of being in the MCIT Online program is once you finish a course, you can come back and you can be a TA for that course, and then you can assist your fellow students in their learning and their understanding of the material. And to speak more about that, we have one of our current head TAs. Her name is Bree Daly, and she is a TA for 595 this semester, Computer Systems Programming. Bree, if you would like to continue.
Bree, I think you're on mute. Go ahead and take yourself off and then we can.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Now you can hear me. As Kathleen said, I am Bree Daly, and I am a current TA in the MCIT program. I have been enrolled in the program for about 2 years. I am what you refer to as a turtle, taking one course at a time. And so this past semester, after taking CIT 595, I loved the course so much that I wanted to become a part of the TA team. So this is my second semester as a TA, and I'm now one of the co-head TAs for that particular course. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the role that teaching assistants play in your experience as an MCIT student, because this is really an essential part of this program. The TAs from the MCIT Online program are mostly students who are currently enrolled, and some who have actually graduated but loved the program so much they've decided to stay behind and do some TAing maybe while they're transitioning in their career, or just because it can be hard to let go once you've gotten into this kind of position and you love interacting with the students. There are also some TAs that are students on the Penn campus. So it's kind of a nice mix. But the great part of this is for you as a student that the TAs that you are interacting with have been where you are. And so they have, a really deep understanding of the course material because they have gone through it recently. But more importantly, they understand the challenges that you may be facing as a student. And so I have found that the TAs that I have encountered have really made it an enormous difference for me in the program, and just helping me to feel more confident or know that it's okay to ask questions and not necessarily have all the answers. But it's also been nice to see that they have made it through some of the same moments that and challenges that I've had. So what are the roles of the TAs? One of the major roles is to lead recitations. And a recitation is a live event that students can come to, and TAs will either go over course material that may be particularly challenging or may require a little bit of a deeper dive. They'll often show example problems and then ask students to think through those problems, and they'll run through the answers together. In demos, some TAs will do small group work where you may be connecting with another student who came to the recitation and trying to strategize on a solution and then sharing out your solutions so you can talk about best practices and approaches. And then some recitations are actually centered around projects that you will be completing. where you may be writing some kind of a program to demonstrate your understanding of some key concepts. And so the TAs may go through a starter code and help you to think about where you may begin, or what you may need to do a little more research into in order to solve the problem. Those recitations are live, however, they are all recorded. So for someone like me who has a full-time job and a lot of outside responsibilities, I rarely make it to live recitations, but I always tune in to the recording because the information is just so helpful for completing the rest of the work in the program. TAs also mentor student groups. So there could be a project, a group project that you have in a course, and you may be assigned a TA who's going to help your group members come together and make a plan, and then check in with you to see how you're doing and offer any additional support that you might need in order to complete that project together. TAs also hold office hours like professors do. However, our office hours are generally, a time for questions on material, and then help potentially with finishing up assignments and projects. The professor's office hours are generally for conceptual questions and maybe additional supplementary information. But TA office hours also include time for you to come with things that are really stumping you in homework or projects. It's a chance for you to say, hey, here's what I'm thinking. Is there something I'm missing? Can you help me step through my thought process? And it's a great time to honestly just get a little bit of support, again, from somebody who has been through it, and just that nice connection and that community feel that there are other people here who are doing the same thing and understand what you're going through. And then TAs also do some teaching of key skills. This will often be in response to trends we might see, students posting on Piazza, and potentially the class is overall having a difficult time understanding something. We may come back with an additional session to help teach students, or we may make supplementary materials that we feel will enhance the course. So some of the best materials that I have gotten as a student have actually been TA generated. And those were made because TAs had gone through this class themselves and thought, gosh, I wish I knew more about this. And so then when they've joined TA teams, they've had an opportunity actually to create some of those supplementary materials and really to improve the experience for the students who are coming next. Can you move to the next slide, please? So I think I hit all the TA things. I would definitely put a plug in for joining a TA team. It has, for me, been the very best way to build community in the program. I have loved meeting other students who felt like I do, where they loved the course material or the professional staff so much that they wanted to give back. So it's definitely something to think about doing if you join the program. Consider becoming a TA. There's no better way to know the information than to teach it.
Yes.
I'm gonna, I think, turn it back over to Olivia.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bree. And thank you, Kathleen and Adrian and Kendall. This is a good opportunity to submit your questions through the Q&A tool. We're going to answer some of them now. And if you don't get to your question, you can always shoot us an email later. But my team is helping behind the scenes to send up some of the questions that they're seeing. Keep in mind also that your question may already be answered in the Q&A tool. So definitely take a look there in case maybe the answer already has been included. So the first question we're going to go with is not on my screen anymore. One moment. Here we go. It says, I work in Philadelphia, but the online program fits better with my schedule. Can I still use Penn Facilities, even though I'm in the online program? And so I'm going to ask Kendall to respond to that question.
Yes, a very good question. And so that's good to hear that you're in the Philadelphia area. So if you decide to become a student and you're admitted, you'll be able to visit campus and sign up for a Penn card ID. That will get you access to the physical library if you want to go in there and study or use materials. You'll also be able to access buildings on campus like the engineering school, which will be exciting. There's lots of great study places there on campus. Regarding other facilities, it depends on what the facilities are. You might have the option to purchase like an additional gym membership to a few of the gym memberships that are on the gym facilities that are on the campus. So it kind of depends on what you're trying to access, but just as a student joining our program and you're in the area, you can get that Penn card, access the library, access buildings on campus, and access the engineering school.
Yes, exactly. I think the only thing I can think of that's like explicitly not for online students is the computer labs inside the engineering school, which is like kind of a random thing, just because space is limited in terms of the on-campus students. But yeah, every student gets mailed an ID card, but then if you live by campus, you can go, like Kendall said, and get an actual Penn card, which also has building access built into it. Okay, great. Number 2, this one is for Kathleen. What platforms are used for hosting office hours? And are the course materials delivered via Coursera or Canvas?
Yes, so all of our courses are on Coursera, and we use different LTI items for homework submissions or exams. So we use Canvas and HonorLock to administer exams. We just started doing that last semester, and it's been a big hit with the students, which is really exciting. And we use Codio for some assignments in certain courses. We also use Gradescope for some assignments in some courses. And then as for office hours, we conduct office hours with Zoom as a platform to talk to each other, but we also have something called OHQ, which was actually designed by students at Penn. And it's a really cool queuing system where a TA will have their private office hours and they'll open the queue, and then you just get in line and you send a Zoom link along with your question, and then the TA pops into your Zoom room to have a private one-on-one session. And those usually last around 15 minutes or so. But it's great because it's easier to get more questions answered, and another TA can also jump on into OHQ at the same time and start going through questions as well. So we are very reliant on Zoom, and then we also have our OHQ system.
Yeah, thank you. I know that sounds like a lot of different technologies to learn. We have a really comprehensive onboarding course that students get access to about a month before classes start. So it's a really great opportunity to browse around in Coursera, try out some of these different tools that Kathleen was describing, so that on day one, you don't have as many things to learn. But it's another reason why we often suggest taking just one class in the first semester, because you're acclimating to, in some cases, online learning if you haven't tried it before, some different technologies that work really nicely once you learn them, and just to kind of gauge how much time you have, and how much time you need to absorb the material. And this way you can really set yourself up for success and maybe take, more than one class in the future. 2 classes is all right too. Probably not more than 2 though. That's what we like to say. Okay, another question is, can international students be TAs? This is something that we're still working on. As of today, the answer is no, because of some hiring restrictions that we have at the university. But we have plans for a TA-like experience, hopefully soon, and we'll certainly pass along that information to prospective students and admitted students as soon as they get finalized. Okay, number 4. Are there MCIT Online students who are entrepreneurs, and what is that community like? I can respond a little bit, and perhaps Adrian or Kendall can jump in if you have additional thoughts. I know that we do have a community, and like one of them was saying, we have a Slack channel for everything at this point. So we definitely have students who are interested in that arena. But beyond that, I don't know a lot more about, what kind of interactions they have with each other. I imagine that group is an ambitious type of group. So it's probably finding each other and making plans.
I can speak a little bit more to that, I would say. Well, one of the things that we have a lot of students who have great ideas that they want to pursue, maybe like their own special interests, or like maybe do a project themselves of a research topic that they're interested, or just something they want to practice. And so while it might not be solely like focused on entrepreneurship, like we do have a lot of students that take initiative to do their own projects and do their own work outside of their coursework. And we actually have a platform for that called Spark, which is, I can't remember what it stands for right now. I'm sorry, Olivia. But Spark is our side projects for not entrepreneurship, but for research, collaboration. And so it's an opportunity for you as a student, if there is something that you want to pursue, if there's a project that you want to do and you want to work with other students and you want to put something on your resume, it's a great opportunity to do that. And if you're interested in doing it, it's something that we host once a year. And so, yeah, it's something that if you're thinking about like a project that you want to pursue and you want to get started while you're in MCIT Online, it's a great platform for that.
Yeah, I agree. We rolled it out last year for the first time, and we're really excited for 2022 as well. And actually, some of the classes have projects in them as part of the class. So that is part of the curriculum as well. But if you want to supplement the curriculum, like Adrian was saying, with your own project, or if you want to do something outside of the digital classroom, we have an option for that. Awesome. Thank you, Adrian. Okay. The next question I'm going to bounce to Kendall. It says, is this program more for recent graduates, or will this program be good for people who are out of school and working full time?
It is great for both. This program is very, very flexible. And that's one of the reasons why it's online. As we've been mentioning before, there is no requirement for any live attendance. So the recitations, office hours, things like that are recorded for your benefit, so that if you are working or you have other outside obligations, you can work on the program around your schedule. And so it's very flexible on that standpoint. And as far as being a recent graduate, we have students from all different backgrounds, academic backgrounds, and time away from their previous degrees. If you have the strong desire to be successful and you take some of our advice as far as the onboarding course before you begin in classes, taking some of our Coursera massive open online courses or MOOCs, that will help prepare you and close up kind of any gaps that you have in knowledge. So I would say that this is open for anyone who is ready to tackle the challenge.
Yeah, definitely.
Olivia, can I just add, if you don't mind, add to that? As a TA, one of the things our team is really cognizant of is, number one, that students are coming from all over the world. So time zones are different. But also that everyone has a different schedule or different personal obligations in the program. It's really diverse in that sense. So when we schedule TA office hours and recitations, we are really careful to vary the times and to offer opportunities to meet with someone live in as many different time zones, as many different days as possible, so that we can meet the needs of that wide range of students.
Awesome. Thank you, Bree. And are up for speaking a little bit about your working full-time status, part-time student?
Sure. Yes, I've become very good at compartmentalizing life and figuring out where all the pieces go. So I was definitely concerned when I decided to pursue this degree, and I wondered if I could balance everything. I do work full time, and I also have children, and so I needed something that was going to fit in flexibly because, truthfully, most of my working hours come in the evening after my kids are in bed or on the weekends, and that's not generally the time when classes are held, and certainly it would have been very difficult for me to get in person to classes on a regular basis. So I think you find the balance depending on what your other needs are, right? You carve out the time, and I think it's hardest at first. And I think so Olivia's advice on sort of taking one class or maybe max two, just to kind of get your feet on the ground, helps a lot. I know the first course that I took, it did take a little while for me to find the rhythm that was going to work for me long term, and figure out how I could keep up with materials and also what was essential for my learning. I think that's different for each student. For me, I need to watch the recitations because it helps me to redigest the information. I need to see it twice. I like the lectures, they're great, but it really helps to see someone go over it again. And so I found a way to make that extra hour each week fit in. And fortunately, it's recorded. So it could fit in at midnight on a Saturday if that's where it had to go. So yeah, I mean, I think working ahead helps too. And you'll find a lot of great advice from your fellow students. As Adrian and Kendall were both saying, the Slack channel has, for me, been so valuable. In not just being in a Slack channel for the course I'm taking, because obviously there's a lot of great advice and great support, but the additional channels, there are organizational channels. There are channels for if you have children and you're trying to fit your coursework in. If you're thinking about taking an internship, there's one on course planning, just basically devoted to what's the best sequence of courses for me to take, right? If I have experience in this concept, but not so much in this. So I find, if you are committed to getting through the program, like this is something that you're going to prioritize, you can do it even if you have a lot of commitments because of the flexibility. So in my personal experience, there are of course challenging times, but it's definitely doable. And I think you want all these supports that are offered. You want to choose the ones that are most meaningful to you.
Thank you. Okay, the next question is, can we speak directly with an admissions counselor to ask more specific questions? The answer is an emphatic yes. We have a couple of options actually, and one of them is what we call coffee chats. So we have coffee chats for prospective students, coffee chats for admitted students. For prospective students, it's like a very casual group conversation over Zoom. So it's typically, well, these days it's like myself, my colleagues Coley and Aaron, and basically folks can come in and ask questions that are a little bit more on the general side that might apply to other people as well. And so everyone can benefit from hearing the answers to those questions. Sometimes we'll even have prospective students chat with each other about suggestions or advice that they might have for folks. And then if you have a question that's like very much more specific just to your own situation, then you can sign up for private one-on-one Zoom session with an admissions counselor. Those are, I think, about 15 minutes each. And we have a slide on that will pull up in a little bit that has the links for signing up for those various events. And you can also find them on our website, which is online.seas.upenn.edu. So please do reach out. We love chatting with people. Our recruitment team is super responsive nice and knowledgeable. So I'm happy to plug them. Okay, any other questions? We have, as a reminder, we have, real life MCIT Online student. We have a behind the scenes master architect with Kathleen, and we have two of our advisors here. So if you have any questions that are a little bit more specific to any of them, we can put them on the spot. Kathleen, I have a question for you. What would you say is a challenge that you most often help students with?
I think that most often we get extension requests, and sometimes sometimes people are sick, or, oh, I got delayed. I was coming back from somewhere and need just another 24 hours. And so we anticipate that students will have extension requests in every course, in every semester. And so the professors anticipate that too. So as much as we encourage everyone to start early and to not procrastinate on the work, we understand that sometimes stuff just happens. And so we're here to support you. You shouldn't feel like you can't reach out if you have an extension request. It might not always be approved, or it might not always be approved for as long as you originally requested. But our goal as a team and as an office and as a TA team is to make sure everybody is learning and understanding. So I think that is probably one of the bigger things that we handle on our team.
Awesome. Yeah, that's so true. And it's reaching out like that to us is also a signal that you may benefit from some other types of support, right? I mean, it's like a, what's the word, interdisciplinary team behind the scenes on our side. So, it may get bounced to somebody like Adrian or Kendall who can reach out and, remind students about the different support options that are available. Sometimes it might even be connecting people with local resources, depending on where people live. So, or reminding people about the huge network of support that exists among the student population. So there's definitely a lot of options. If a person is too busy to participate in a Slack community with hackathons and memes, that's totally fine. It's not required by any stretch. But if you do feel that you would benefit from that, it's there. And the student workspace in Slack is a place where there are no there's not very much like staff moderation. I mean, we are there, but it's really just meant as a tool for students to communicate with each other. And Bree, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Zoom is also connected with Slack, so that if you're chatting with someone and you kind of want to go over some concepts together with a study group type situation, you could just access Zoom through Slack, I believe. Is that how it is?
I have not used that option, but I certainly have I've been in study groups we've formed through Slack, and we've done our own Zoom invites. But now I'm going to look into that, because that may be a feature we're not using.
Well, it's certainly a feature we use among the staff, and it's very helpful. It's like a Zoom plugin, basically. Okay, the next question, I think this might be our last question. Adrian or Kendall, either one could take it. Is it possible to switch part-time and full-time between semesters? Is there any limitation around how many times we can make the switch?
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. Yeah, so there's no limitation to how many times you would need to make the switch. And in fact, sometimes students reach out to us and ask, I took 3 classes last semester. It was way too much. Is it okay if I switch to 2? That is completely fine with us. It's up to you really what you decide is best for your course schedule. We are always happy to talk to you if you just need somebody to bounce ideas off of or figure out, well, what do I need to do so that I can graduate at a certain time? We're always happy to talk to you, but there is no limitation. You know, if you one semester are, you know, have a lot of free time and you're able to take more courses, you are totally welcome to do so. And then if the next semester you're way too busy and you just need to drop down to one, you can absolutely do that. We are here to support you, you know, whatever decision you make. And if you ever want to talk about your course plan, we're happy to talk to you about it at any time.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing I would add to that is there's actually no official like form that you have to fill out indicating like full-time versus part-time. It's just that, you know, at the beginning of each semester, as Adrian said, you decide how many classes you want to take and then you register for them. So most of the time, it actually doesn't have any implication, you know, whether you're part-time with one course or full-time with three. As far as I can think of, the only implication it has is on federal financial aid. So in that case, you would want to be a little bit more careful, but there's nothing that you need to declare in terms of your status. Again, you just go semester by semester, and you also pay semester by semester as you register for courses. Awesome, thank you, everyone. Okay, I think we're ready to pull up the last few slides and run through just a few more admissions type details for you. So this slide has a lot of really great information on it about the application itself. So the application has different components to it. There's a personal statement, a resume, an application fee. You need to submit unofficial transcripts. You may need to submit official, what do I want to say, English language proficiency exams. We accept one called TOEFL, and the GRE or GMAT is optional. So we actually have a really cool series on our website of blog posts kind of highlighting each of the different parts of the application, where we just really do a deep dive on best practices for each of them, collected by, you know, our admissions team over time. So I would definitely suggest going to our website. If you click on, I believe it's news and events, and then click on news, you can see all the different blog posts that we have. We also have a really robust FAQ page, some of which talks about some of these different elements, or you can just ask us directly, but there's a wealth of information on our website. We also have other webinars recorded for your watching pleasure, and some of them are focused on some of these topics as well. So I think we have one that's specifically about best practices for your application. So that's a real gem if you have time to watch it. So basically, once you've submitted your materials, there's a checklist in the CollegeNet application where you can go through and verify that you've submitted everything that you need to submit. Letters of recommendation are another element of your application. And what's nice is that after you submit your application, you can watch those letters come in on your checklist dashboard. So keep in mind that we need a minimum of 2 letters in order to consider your application. So even if you press submit, your application is not necessarily complete, until we receive that minimum of 2 letters. So we need to receive those 2 letters by the deadline, or it won't be considered for that deadline. We also need to receive the official TOEFL scores, as I mentioned before, by the deadline. And so to whatever extent you can get those submitted sooner rather than later, in case there's any lag time, we highly encourage that. Once you matriculate, if you're admitted into the program, at that time you would need to submit official transcripts. I will say that if your transcripts are not in English, then we ask that you submit them even as an applicant through some sort of verification service, so that we can make sure we fully comprehend your full academic history in English. Sometimes those services will also interpret GPAs into like a 4.0 grading scale. And again, that's very helpful for us on the admission side as well. So here we have our regular application deadlines. Those are the sort of final deadlines for fall 2022. We actually as well have an early deadline coming up on March 1st. So sometimes people ask us if there's an advantage to submitting early versus regular. It's hard to say, but I would say there probably is a slight advantage to turning it in early if you can. That being said, if you need more time to really be polishing your materials, to maybe like finish up an online math class at a community college that you think will really strengthen your application, or you want to, take the GRE, I would say don't stress about getting things in by the early deadline if it's not feasible. If it's not feasible, then don't worry. Just take your time to make sure you submit materials that you feel really proud of and really that are really complete. So that's my unsolicited advice about that. Let's see, we have, yes, if you are admitted, you would find out on June 15th. All the decisions are released on the same day, so it's not a rolling situation. It's all on one day. And then the onboarding course that I mentioned earlier starts in the end of July. And actually our very first course, 591, typically opens early to, at least to the extent that you can get in there and start, downloading some things and browse around a little bit, so that again, on day one, you're feeling really comfortable and ready to get started. So classes start at the end of August 2022. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Yeah, so this slide talks about some of the additional resources that you have if you if you have more questions. I mentioned our awesome FAQ database. Our admissions team can be reached at online-admissions@cs.upenn.edu. They are super responsive, super friendly, super helpful and knowledgeable. So give that a try. We have a mailing list that you could sign up for. That's actually hosted on Coursera's website. The form is hosted there. So if you navigate over there, you can give us your information and we can make sure to let you know about any kind of additional events that we might have, such as future coffee chats or webinars. I know we have some more planned for this cycle, but you can also find them on our website under that news and events tab. So finally, we have two non-credit courses that you can explore on your own. If you are a person who is maybe a little bit interested in computer science, but you haven't tried it out yet, you could try our computational thinking for problem solving course on Coursera. It's really for people just to start dipping their toe into what it's like to think like a computer scientist. And you can use it as a tool to assess whether you really want to go for it or not. And as well, we have an introduction to programming with Python and Java specialization that goes a little bit farther, and it actually uses some of the very same videos from our first course. It's the same professor. The assignments are a little bit different, but it gives you kind of a sneak peek of what some of our materials are like. And again, you can use it for yourself to gauge how you feel about it. If you participate in either of those courses and either of those offerings that I just mentioned, please do make sure to mention it in your application, on your resume and in your personal statement, because we love it. It shows that you are interested in Penn Engineering Online. It shows that you've taken some content on the very same platform that we use. And it shows that you're really going above and beyond to learn more about computer science. I think that's all we have time for today. Again, if your question didn't get answered, please send us an email at online-admissions@seas.upenn.edu or sign up for one of our offerings, and stay tuned for more content from Penn Engineering Online. Thanks so much.